Welcome back to High Stakes. Today, we will be discussing the following NCAAF matches that is happening on Friday, September 15, 2023. We will be providing our team, total and prop picks for the day. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. If you want access to our premium picks, you can check out our Patreon page. You can find the link to our Patreon page in the description and comments section below. Virginia vs Maryland. Take Virginia with the points. Emotions were running high inside Scott Stadium in Charlottesville as the Cavaliers were playing their first home game since the tragic shooting deaths of 3 UVA players. Many of the fans were wearing UVA Strong t-shirts to support the program and honor the teammates who were taken too early. Virginia held a 35-24 lead going into the fourth quarter against James Madison, but gave up 12 unanswered points, including a touchdown with 55 seconds left to lose 36-35. Virginia's starting quarterback Tony Muskett sat this game out with an injury to his non-throwing shoulder in the first week of the season. Elliott said players do not lose their jobs due to injury, but their backup freshman quarterback may have created a tricky situation. Anthony Colandrea was excellent against the Dukes. He went 20-26 with 377 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Muskett is likely to start Friday night, but if he struggles we could see the freshman back in the game. The top receiving option has been 5'8" senior Malik Washington. Through 2 games he has 9 catches for 148 yards and 1 score. The running game has not gotten off the ground. No back has over 50 yards combined in their first 2 games. It sounds like Virginia is in a favorable position with 2 talented quarterbacks to choose from and the ability to adapt their offensive strategy based on the performance of either Tony Muskett or Anthony Colandrea. This flexibility can be a valuable asset for a football team. However, it's important to note that football outcomes can be influenced by a wide range of factors, and it's hard to predict with certainty how a specific game will turn out. Regarding Maryland, their early season performance suggests they might have some vulnerabilities, especially in terms of turnovers. It's also noteworthy that they haven't faced a Power 5 school yet, which can be a different level of competition compared to their previous opponents. As for the point spread, taking 14.5 points might seem like a reasonable option if you believe that Virginia has a chance to keep the game competitive or potentially pull off an upset. Betting decisions, however, should be made carefully and based on a comprehensive analysis of the team's strengths and weaknesses, recent performances, and other relevant factors. It's also important to consider your own risk tolerance and betting strategy. Always remember that sports betting carries inherent risks, and there are no guarantees in sports. Take the over. Virginia is averaging 24 points per game, and Maryland is averaging 38. While this clearly is not insider knowledge, I do not see either offense slowing down in this one. Virginia saw how successful the offense can be with the freshman Colandrea under center. Even if they go back to Muskett, the pressure will be on to score. Maryland has been turnover prone early in the year, which can lead to quick scores in the other direction. Virginia is allowing 447 yards per game, so even if Maryland does not play flawless football, they will still be able to put up points. Army vs UTSA. Take Army Black Knights plus 9 points. Army comes into Friday's game with a 1-1 record this season. They dropped their opening game against Louisiana Monroe by a score of 17-13 in Week 1 action. The Black Knights followed the loss with a win against FCS Delaware State on Saturday, September 9th. Army defeated the Hornets 57-0 as they just crushed Delaware State in their first win of the season. Army dropped 36 points on FCS Delaware State in the first half, utilizing their new modern style offense. The Black Knights have gone away from the option, wishbone style offense and have opted more for a run-pass option style. The Black Knights were able to show this style off against Delaware State in their last game. Army accounted for 525 total yards against the Hornets. They passed for 238 yards and rushed for 287 yards as they showed their balanced attack. Quarterback Bryson Daly has been Army's top performer this season. Against Delaware State, he threw for 8 for 11 for 193 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also rushed for 65 yards on 9 carries and had 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Alston had a big game at the wide receiver position for the Black Knights. He caught 3 passes for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. I'd advise taking a position on this spread sooner rather than later, as it's likely to decline in the upcoming days. If Harris is unable to play, the Roadrunners might face a challenging evening. Their offensive strategy heavily relies on their senior quarterback, known for his impressive arm strength and running ability. While he hasn't performed as well this year compared to previous seasons, the alternatives on Jeff Traylor's team are clearly inferior. The Black Knights should have a 2-0 record, but a disappointing fourth quarter against Ulm Monroe cost them the victory. They rebounded strongly by dominating their FCS opponent, but one constant concern for Army remains their defense. So far, their defense has shown remarkable consistency in the first 2 games by preventing their opponents from making big plays or shifts in momentum. This aspect is crucial for Army, as they aim to keep this game competitive, and they will focus on controlling time of possession, which is a positive factor for those betting on Army. Take the under on Friday. Army comes into Friday's game with a 1-1 record this season. They dropped their opening game against Louisiana Monroe by a score of 17-13 in Week 1 action. The Black Knights followed the loss with a win against FCS Delaware State on Saturday, September 9th. Army defeated the Hornets 57-0 as they just crushed Delaware State in their first win of the season. Army dropped 36 points on FCS Delaware State in the first half, utilizing their new modern-style offense. The Black Knights have gone away from the option, wishbone-style offense, and have opted more for a run-pass option style. The Black Knights were able to show this style off against Delaware State in their last game. Defense, 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 that will be the name of the game in Friday's matchup. The two teams have played in some low-scoring ball games so far, and that is a credit to their defensive fronts. They have both clogged up the middle and not allowed running lanes. This will keep the clock ticking and keep the ball out of their opponent's hands, making this total real small. The under is 3-1 this year in UTSA's and Army's combined games. Utah State vs Air Force. Take Utah State plus 10 points. While third-year head coach Blake Anderson likely doesn't believe in moral victories, losing 24-14 in Iowa City against a ranked Hawkeye team should be taken as a positive. Anderson's Aggies bounced back in Week 2, destroying Idaho State 78-28. The victory pushed Utah State to 2-0 against the number, and they're 1-1 to the over. In terms of offensive production, Cooper Legas has been the man under center, racking up 338 yards, courtesy of a 71.9% completion mark. He has tossed 3 touchdowns while adding 1 interception. His favorite target is Terrell Vaughn, who has hauled in 23 catches for 166 yards. That accounts for half of Legas' 46 completions this season. As for the run game, Russell Faison has paved the way with 154 yards on 12 carries, 12.8 YPC. Joe Coffin has taken over the defense this season in his first year as a coordinator for Utah State. While Iowa may not be the cream of the crop offensively in FBS football, his unit limited them to just 284 yards. And, on that note, the Aggies actually outgained the Hawkeyes 329-284 in the Week 1 defeat. To be honest, I'm a bit puzzled as to why the Aggies are being given a 10-point spread in this matchup. There are several compelling reasons why I'm supporting Utah State and the points on Friday night. First and foremost, let's consider Cooper Legas, a senior who managed to defeat the Air Force team last year in a 34-27 game played in Utah. This seasoned quarterback completed 18 of 23 passes, 78.3%, for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had 1 interception. Additionally, he contributed 76 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground. So, here we have an experienced quarterback going on the road to face a team he's had success against in the past, and we're getting 10 points. Count me in. In my view, this Utah State team is somewhat underrated. I'd like to once again highlight how they managed to stay competitive with Iowa in Week 1, losing by a narrow margin of 24-14, despite being 24-point underdogs. If this offense can take good care of the ball, they have the potential to keep this game close and perhaps even secure a victory. Take under 47. And here is why. While third-year head coach Blake Anderson likely doesn't believe in moral victories, losing 24-14 in Iowa City against a ranked Hawkeye team should be taken as a positive. Anderson's Aggies bounced back in Week 2, destroying Idaho State 78-28. The victory pushed Utah State to 2-0 against the number, and they're 1-1 to the over. Another reason why I like Utah State is because I think points will be at a premium here. Which, if there aren't a lot of points, it makes the 10 points even more valuable. Air Force's strength is its defense. As I mentioned in their preview section above, this team was the top-ranked unit in all of college football last season, allowing just 13.1 points per game. So far through 2 games, the Falcons have given up 10 points over 120 minutes of action. While I think Utah State will find some success, I expect for Air Force to make life difficult. Finally, we have a very inexperienced quarterback, Zach Larrier, going for the Falcons. Throughout his career, he has only completed 6 passes and added 58 carries. He'll take on a Utah State defense that limited the Iowa Hawkeyes to just 24 points. And, Larrier hasn't faced a defense of this caliber. Sure, Utah State isn't the pinnacle of defense, but they may be a step up compared to Robert Morris and Sam Houston. We should see the clock grind away in this game, due to an option offense, and I'm taking the under.